So this is for the farmers. I wanted you guys to understand UNDRIP and how it will affect you. If a political party were to unethically create leverage over people using UNDRIP framework, they might consider strategies such as promoting selective interpretations, emphasizing certain aspects of UNDRIP that are aligned with their agenda while ignoring others. Number two, representation of UNDRIP goals, presenting UNDRIP as a tool for economic development rather than protection of indigenous rights. Okay. Number three, lobbying for ambiguous legislation, advocating for laws that are create I don't even know this word, in the line with UNDRIP, but containing certain loopholes for their agenda. Number four, controlling the narrative, using media to shape public perception of UNDRIP's impact of national interests. Number five, creating dependency, offering incentives to indigenous communities in exchange for support for development projects. Number six, political patronage, okay? Appointing supporters of their agenda to key positions in institutions managing indigenous affairs. Okay, number seven, influencing education. Number seven, influencing education. Implement educational programs that portray the party's interpretation of UNDRIP as the standard. Okay. Number eight, offering economic benefits, promising short-term economic gains to communities in exchange for long-term control over land and resources. Number eight, exploiting divisions. Identify and exploit divisions within and between indigenous communities and rural communities. Number 10, enlist partnerships for alliances with influential figures in indigenous communities to gain support for their policies, such as FSIN, you name it, or clan mother systems. Number 11, FPIC manipulation. Interpret free, prior, and informative consent in a way that minimalizes obstacles to development. Number 12, legal intimidation. Use the threat or legal action to discourage opposition to their interpretation of UNDRIP. Number 13, highlight international endorsement. Cite international approval of their policies as validation, even if the support is superficial. Number 14, target campaigning. Direct campaigning efforts to conceive the public that their approach to UNDRIP is the only viable option, and this has a lot to do with environmental issues. Number 15, promise of infrastructure. Promising the construction of infrastructure as a trade-off for support of resource extraction. Everything sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? Number 16, selective consultation. Hold consultations with handpicked representatives who are likely to agree with their stance. Number 17, promoting fear of loss. Suggests that non-support of their policies will lead to economic hardships or missed opportunities. Number 18, environmental rhetoric. Use environmental conservation arguments selectively to justify taking control of land. Isn't that kind of funny with the 21 agendas of land management within Canada and its rural people such as farmers and Native Americans? Number 19, dividing funds. Channel governmental funding to projects that will increase their leverage over indigenous lands. Number 21, promising employment. Offer employment opportunities to indigenous people as leverage for gaining access to resources. Number 22, strategic legislation. Pass laws that support UNDRIP, but actually centralizes control over indigenous land. Number 23, co-opting indigenous leaders. Co-opt or support indigenous leaders who are sympathetic to their agenda and can influence their community. Number 24, framing resistance as extreme. Frame an opportunity to their interpretations of UNDRIP as radical or anti-developmental. Number 25, international pressure. use international economic agreements to pressure indigenous communities into compliance with their developmental goals. I'm going to read this thing right here. It is important to clarify that democratic societies that there are checks and balances in place to prevent any one political or party from gaining absolute control over the government, legislation, and municipal levels. However, in a hypothetical situation where a politician or a political party had an unchecked grip on all levels of government, they could potentially manipulate the UNDRIP framework to consolidate control over land and resources. Here are ways in which they might attempt to do this. Number one, centralization of authority. They can pass legislation and centralize decision-making authority over land and resources within executive branches, which they control. Number two, modification of law. So they can modify the law. Number three, reinterpretation of consent. That's number three. Number four, selective enforcement. They can selectively enforce laws and regulations to favor governmental control projects and disfavor those opposed by indigenous people or local communities. Number five, control over judicial systems. Number six, redraw boundaries. Number seven, economic leverage. Number eight, propaganda campaigns. Number nine, restricting assembly and protest. Number 10, political appointments. Number 11, surveillance and intimidation. Number 12, land exploration and exploitation. Number 13, resource monopolization. Number 14, taxation and federal incentives. Number 15, source allocation. Number 16, infrastructure development. Number 17, trade agreements. Number 18, bypassing local authority. Number 19, disinformation. Number 20, what does this say? Just militarization of resource areas. They could deploy security forces to contest resources areas to enforce governmental claims over land and resources. This is kind of crazy. And these are the acts that they are enforcing on farmers and Native Americans. Governmental organizational acts, Métis Settlement Acts and Métis Settlement Land Protection Acts. Number three, municipal governmental acts. Number four, Financial Administration Act. Number five, Regulation Acts. Number six, Irrigation District Acts and Drainage District Acts. Number seven, Alberta Housing Act. Number eight, Fishery Acts. Number nine, Land Titlement Acts. Number 10, Personal Property Security Acts. Number 11, Vital Statistics Acts, Will Acts. Number 12, Cemetery Acts, Marriage Acts. Number 13, Traffic Safety Act. Number 14, Public Inquiry Acts. Number 15, Exploration Acts. Expropriation Acts. Number 16, Arbitration Acts. Number 17, Public Land Acts. Number 18, Co-Management Agreements. Number 19, Income Tax Act. Number 20, Security Act. Number 21, Historical Resource Act. Number 22, Land Assembly Project Area Acts. Number 23, and last, Environmental Protection and Enhancement Act. All these acts have everything in common. It has everything to do with environmental clauses and control. Remember, they are here for setting a precedence, okay, in politics for what they call the environmental acts and environmental rights because of, let's say, carbon tax and everything. But those environmental rights are not for you. They're using that as a catalyst for themselves. When they put in environmental rights, they're saying you don't have no rights, but we do, especially with corporations and international organizations and entities, such as World Economic Forum. Hopefully this makes sense. Some of the things that I'm reading here, I'm brushing upon it really fast, right? I'm not the greatest reader in the world, but I know what the fuck they're doing. Anywho, if you guys have any questions, this is how they're implementing UNDRIP with all these acts, these 24 acts within the municipal level of farming and land management acts. Hopefully these make sense. There's a great threat. They are not here for your fucking rights as for your feelings. They're here for land, and they're going to use your rights to do so. Have yourself a good day.
Well, good evening, folks. Hope y'all are having a good night. We're a little late this evening and last evening. I'm going to try to kick away from that tomorrow. So We're going to break this down into two parts. And a big reason for that is I'm just really heavy today. I've been taking in a lot of information the past few days. And I've been on the road for a little bit now, I guess a week and a bit. I'm starting to feel it a little bit. Today was a little different. Missing the dogs. They're all getting super well taken care of, which is nice to see. But um, as much as I love being sent the videos and pictures, oh wait, our background's supposed to be different. As much as I love getting sent the videos and pictures, it's tough. I'll have to switch that for tomorrow. It's tough to see, and it makes me miss them. So, I mean, it is what it is. We're here to do a task and here to do a job. And I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing here at home. So it's like we always say, we're living in a time where we don't get to do what we like. We have to do what is necessary. And time is not on our side right now. So what I've decided to do to make things just better all the way around, because A, I'm going to be in better shape tomorrow. B, I'm going to have a better understanding of everything we're going to discuss tomorrow. And C, it'll kind of give everybody an opportunity to ease into it. So we're just going to kind of go over everything that we are going to go over tomorrow. And we're going to be getting pretty in depth on some things. And not just current happenings, not just things that we're up against, but things that have gone on and happened. I guess you would say we are going to be bringing some clarity to some things that have happened, because there's a lot of things that have gone on, and there's been these narratives implemented based on zero evidence, just literally like pack mentality. Literally, that's how these begin. And not only is it wrong, but it's very misleading to the people. And I think by the time we're all said and done, everybody's going to understand why those narratives were created. Because, like we've said, the government's not just controlled their own narrative, they've controlled the counter narrative since the convoy as well. And we can now show you that. It's just a matter of putting it all into place here. And that's exactly why I'm overwhelmed today, because it's like the third time in a couple weeks where I've been handed a stack of papers like this. And it's not just like reading a book. I know most of these people. The ones I don't know, I'm having to find out who they are and how they're tied in. But it's going to be quite interesting to see how the coming weeks unfold and months. But we've come to the realization, and not just our small little crew either. Like everybody I talk to is starting to realize that truth is our only weapon. You cannot take guns to a drone fight. However, truth is much bigger than drones, and we have the truth. It's just a matter of putting it into a digestible format, because it's one thing when a narrative is pushed. It's another thing to be deceived, double down deceit, because not only the government deceiving you, there's people trying to be your best friend and lead you down a path where they're also deceiving you on top of the deceit. And it's not just about the movement either. It's now affecting, and a big part of these bills that are being put into place, because it's the same people. So if we can expose it from the bottom to the top, which we now can, then hopefully we can stop these bills and make some change here. And if we can continue to educate people, I truly believe that is the only path to unity, is through the truth. We can try to be friends and buddy and say we're family all we want, but unless you know the truth and fact, you're always going to be looking over your shoulder. And if we can create an opportunity to not have to do that. That is what we're going to do. So, blood memory. This is something new for me. And we're just going to touch on this. Like I said, we'll just touch on everything this evening. And we're going to go tomorrow at noon. Probably be on here for about 3 hours. So we're going to have a lot of info, a lot of stuff to bring on the screen, and a lot to go over. And I do not want to rush through it either. It's very, very, hello, how are you? How's Toronto? Blood memory. Blood memory refers to the idea that our ancestors' experiences, memories, and knowledge are passed down to us through our DNA, influencing our behavior, culture, and identity. This concept is often associated with indigenous cultures, where it is believed that the stories, traditions, and wisdom of one's ancestors are embedded in the blood and passed on to future generations. So, this is something I've been experiencing a lot lately, and we do have that one post where I've been kind of showing you guys that. I did not get to add to it yet today, but I will be tonight. And it's heavy. It's heavy tying these things together. It's heavy learning about your ancestors when you never did before, and especially seeing that the connections relate to nowadays happenings. It's wild and it's heavy and it's a lot. This in this context, blood memory is not just a metaphorical concept, but a tangible genetic connection to one's ancestors. It is believed that our DNA contains the memories and experiences of our ancestors, which can be awakened and accessed through various means, such as storytelling, rituals, and ceremonies. This concept is often linked to the idea of intergenerational trauma, where the experiences of one generation can have a lasting impact on the next. For example, the trauma and suffering of Indigenous peoples during colonization and forced assimilation can be passed down through generations, influencing their mental and physical health, as well as their cultural identity. Blood memory is also associated with the concept of re-indigenization, which involves reconnecting with one's ancestral heritage and cultural traditions. This can be a powerful tool for healing and empowerment, as it allows individuals to tap into their ancestral wisdom and connect with their cultural roots. In summary, blood memory is a concept that highlights the importance of our ancestral heritage and the role it plays in shaping our identity, culture, and behavior. It is a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of our past, present, and future, and the importance of honoring and respecting our ancestors and their experiences. So that is something we're going to be diving into more tomorrow. The elements of our memories, absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking on elements, that's another thing we'll be diving into tomorrow. I'm just going to outline them this evening. The 4 colors of the Thunderbird and the meanings of them. So white is power of the fire. Black is power of the water. Yellow, power of the sky or air. Pretty much the same thing. And red is the power of the ground. And this ties in with the swastika, which we've gotten into a little bit, but again, we will tomorrow very in depth. That's going to be a lot of what we bring on the screen to show. There's a few diagrams and stuff I have to show the 7 stars, and it's quite interesting. And this is one of the biggest things we need to educate people on, because this flag holds a lot of power. The symbol holds a lot of power, and it's been hijacked, obviously, by the Nazis for good reason, so that nobody would use it. We're going to be using it eventually, and it's important that folks understand it prior. But it's a powerful thing, and a powerful symbol is needed for us to go forward. And I think, as well as many, that that's the way to do so. Because if you can see a white man out there with First Nations people, carrying that flag, walking side by side. That's going to catch people's attention. It's going to make them ask questions. And right now, we need to make people ask questions. We need to make waves. We're literally, what is it today, the 13th? So the Geneva Committee for the WHO Treaty, I think, starts on the 27th and runs till June. Let me just check here. We'll bring it up. WHO Pandemic Treaty, Geneva. Here we go. I'll show you guys. Bring this up on the screen here. Oh, wrong one. View original. There's a Tedros POS. Whoever states agreed to resume negotiations. And when was this? 20th of March. There we go. Next month's resumption of INV9 will be a critical milestone ahead of the 77th World Health Assembly starting the 27th of May 2024, at which member states are scheduled to consider the proposed text of the world's first pandemic agreement for adoption. And as we've been seeing, a few countries have been dropping out. The UK dropped out. I can't think on the top of my head. There was another that dropped out, another bigger one. I'm just gonna write that down because that's how much I've been taking in here. Is I said to before Carlene and Andrew left yesterday, we were kind of saying our goodbyes, and I've kind of been having a rough day since yesterday. But you know, like my whole personal life is completely in shambles, and I don't even get the chance to think about it because I feel like if I don't do this, knowing what we know, having what we have, it's not going to be good. So it's hard. I think I'm just shedding another layer these last 24, 36 hours. Plus, Saturday evening was wild. Going to see these certain places and feeling things I've never felt before, like getting to connect with certain things, and like explained in the blood memory, kind of reliving things. It's weird. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain to myself even, and I think that's why I've been a little off. What else are we gonna go over in the morning? See, I never have these big breaks in between or anything. I don't even know what to say. Oh, we're going to be. I mentioned that earlier, but I'll mention it again. There's going to be a couple marches coming up. One in the west, one in the east, for the Indian Act, and obviously centered around Bill 53 as well. Our signs are going to say 15-minute cities are the white man's reserve, because again, just like the symbol, we need to make waves. We need to make people ask questions. We need to make people want to come have a discussion. And that's a very powerful sentence. 15-minute cities are the white man's reserve. Now, if you have a white man and a native, a pure First Nations person there, ready to answer those questions and have that discussion, that is how you make waves. And we'll have documentation and brochures ready for that as well. And it's time we really start to make, like I said, make waves. Waves of truth. Truth is our biggest weapon. I see a lot of people the last couple days actually like appreciating the history, and but I can tell that some people are kind of like, oh, okay, like what does this have to do with what we're doing right now? But it has everything to do with what we're doing right now, because to think that you can assert change for the good while not understanding the past, it's very entitled of someone to think. I was thinking, how about none? How about none? Um, yeah, I don't understand how people think that they can make these big changes without even understanding the past, where they come from, where they got here, how we all got here as a whole. To even have that thought in your brain is very entitled. Um, one for emergency. Yeah, that's true. That's true. What if we were the emergency? Uh, I'm not me. I'm not me. So we're gonna pick off tomorrow. I think that's as far as we'll go. What else? 53 on drip. I think we've gone over everything. Biotech City. We're gonna go over. I guess I'll read this. We will read this before we go. So, and this is something we're gonna go very in depth in. Last September, when Adrian came east, Angel was here as well. They went through all the protocol before they raised that Thunderbird flag in Ottawa. And there's been many folks that we know who they are. Uh, the same ones who've been attacking me for the last while. They've misled others into thinking that they did not go through protocol. Tomorrow we're going to show you all of it and how they did, and how Graham and Nancy did endorse the raising of this Thunderbird flag here. And this was a message from her. It's hard to see the screen. Like I said, we'll show this stuff in a better manner tomorrow, but I'll just read this briefly. It is about the Thunderbird flag. It holds great significance and meaning for us. It is not merely a flag, but a carefully crafted symbol that embodies our beliefs and values. The design of the Thunderbird flag is unique and powerful. At its core is a circle that encases the swastika, which originates from the stars. This symbolizes the connection between the celestial realm and our earthly existence. Within this design, we incorporate the wisdom of the seven grandfather teachings from the West and the seven grandmother teaching from the East. These teachings represent the seven fundamental laws that guide our conduct and interaction with the world. The house depicted above the symbol signifies unity and morality, reminding us of the importance of living harmoniously with one another. The star positioned above represents the North Star, the guiding light that leads us on the right path. With great honor, we extend an invitation to all nations to unify under a shared belief that peace should be the foundation of our collective existence. It is crucial to acknowledge the shortcomings and sins of the past, reclaim our identity as a nation, and strive towards a future guided by harmony and justice. Through the symbolism of the Thunderbird flag, we seek to reclaim the principles of natural law. We implore all nations to come together, setting aside our differences and grievances in order to pursue the great law of peace. This law should serve as a unifying force that transcends borders and brings us close as a global community. In these troubled times, it is imperative that we address pressing issues that affect the well-being of society, such as the protection of women and the prevention of the sexualization of our children. By joining forces and working collectively, we can create a safer and more equitable world for all. Failure to heed this call for unity and peace may result in dire consequences for all. Just as Native American Indians have endured immense suffering, your people too face many similar fate if we do not act swiftly and decisively. The choice before us is clear. Either we come together in love and unity, or allow the spiritual warfare to escalate, leading to the destruction of all. And I couldn't agree with that more. Couldn't agree with that anymore. So, clarity and a far more in-depth dive tomorrow at noon Eastern time. I think that's what we're going to leave for tonight because my head is jumbled. So I'm going to dive into some things so I can understand some things better. Get some more rest. And we'll see you at noon. Love you all. Peace, love.